Hello, hello.
There's no picture.
We gotta let people adjust.
Adjust. Gotta let them, the calming swaying of the grass.
Before the chaos.
Before they have to look at our faces and calm them down so they don't panic.
Mm-hmm. It's fine because instead we can just do. We'll just start it with Michael eating pizza. Oh, and actually, and also I'm gonna have to. It's gonna do the. Yeah, it's gonna do that. Hold on, I need to reset the camera because for some reason it likes to do the auto detect for faces, the little X's, and I don't want that. So let me fix that quick. Boop boop. And that because you don't want to see my face. Oh wow, did that fix? Oh, that turned on right away. Normally it doesn't do that. Okay, awesome.
I'm just sitting in the dark. I'm gonna scoot my chair this way.
You're always in the dark. You're in the blue.
Right.
Oh, Sky. And okay. Oh, and I gotta play music. What I got here? There we go. Okay, welcome. It is Tuesday.
Are you using a different playlist now?
I picked up the royalty-free pack from Humble Bundle last week. It was like $25 for like hundreds of royalty-free songs that have a release for use on Twitch and YouTube. So, which is perfect. So no problems with DMCA, and it's actually good stuff. If I managed to get a stream, we didn't have a D&D session. Well, welcome. We're still continuing Rathlos in a trash bin. Because the last Friday we did the kind of rushed build a story stream, like I kind of consider like the Mad Libs of a stream, and that actually will be out on Friday. I already have it all; it's all 100% done. The stream we worked on it for a couple hours, and then the next Saturday on Discord I streamed about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. Did full lip syncing. Smoothed out some animation bits and then cleaned up little parts. But my goal was to get it under 5 hours of work total. It actually turned out really interesting. But yeah, that'll actually be out on YouTube on Friday. It's currently available for any Twitch and patrons, but well, kind of. It's on Discord for them. I haven't put it on Patreon yet. I wanted to verify that because I used some audio from Dota and I wanted to make sure it wasn't going to cause copyright issues. And as far as I can tell, it has not. So, okay, I think the music's a little loud. Let me turn that down. I don't want to. Would you guys be able to hear me? There we go. All right. What the heck is the fucking song in the background? Yeah, I just decided to turn it down. It's just it's a royalty-free music thing, but it's a lot of pretty epic, pretty decent actually music. With all the Twitch DMCA crap, I'm not dealing with it. I'm not like a dying choir. It's probably just because it's playing over me. But I forgot where we are on this.
Our dumpster has arrived. Our dumpster has arrived. Let's go, girls.
Oh, okay, so we have to finish the lip syncing here, but we did start some of the animating here.
Let's go, girls. Dumpster has arrived. Has arrived.
I feel like the timing here still needs to be moved a little bit this way.
Dumpster has arrived.
It's kind of weird because it's like his head's turned the same, just different shots right the other direction. And a little blurred. I hope you're doing well. Michael being loud.
Dumpster has arrived.
And then we were working on the drug trip portion last time. I feel like the song being that fast that I almost need to speed that up a bit. I'm alive. Shouldn't complain. How's you? I'm doing well. I had all of last week off, and that went really quick, and now I'm back to work again, and I'm sad. But I'll manage. Yeah, I want to get a little bit of this part done. At least you have work. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I have a job and stuff, which is comes in handy. It was nice having a week off where most other people had the week off too. So coming back, I had some emails to respond to from the people that were there, but otherwise it was a pretty quiet week overall. Hello, Alexander. What are you doing tonight? I am continuing some of this Rathalos stuff. The hope is I can get a good portion of it done today. I did mention that the video we made last Friday is going to be out on this Friday, but I'm trying to come up where if I want to do something like that in the future, like a rush video, trying to figure out what to call those. Right now I'm calling it Rushimation, but just because it was the first thing that came to my head. So I try to figure out what would be a name for something like that, because I don't want to have...
Not quickies.
Huh?
Not quickies.
Not quick...
Quickies.
Quickies? Because a quickie... and you could call things shorts and stuff. It follows to me like on a short, where it's something that sounds like it's a small bit of something. Well, it's not. It's actually the other way around, that it can be a longer thing, but with just less time put into it. So it's about separating that out, because I don't want to...
Call them dashes.
No, I don't know, because it still feels like a length of time or bit. But it's about, if I'm going... I don't want to spam YouTube with a bunch of stuff that's suddenly really low quality without being able to distinguish that. So I'm trying to figure out if I want or even care about that separation or not. But I don't want to feel like I'm going backwards. So, but it is really refreshing to be able to just rush something out like that. And then I'm not dead for a long period of time. Speedimation. No, that's worse than Rushimation. Low quality SFM. I don't even know if I'd consider it good quality mations. That's a long name, but I liked it. I'm trying to keep it short, but low quality SFM, because I don't even consider it low quality. It's actually was turned out decent. And actually, like, its result was decent. And it's in 4K still, because I forgot to turn it off 4K. So it's still rendered in 4K. I was thinking about not putting it in 4K, but oh well. Why not? Now you get the maximum bit rate on crap.
The making your way downtown video.
Our dumpster.
Did you charge for that on Patreon? That was years ago, so.
I can't remember.
Because that was a good video,
But that one was different. So this one was, I basically took everything raw from what was in there. That video, more than half the animation was already made, and I brought it in, so it made the quality appear faster. The lip syncing method that I used for that was the same one I used for this, which is like 4 to 5 times faster.
You should try to make a video with nothing but recycled animations. Like, you're not allowed to touch it.
Somebody did that. Because I have an animating pack that's free for download that has like most of the animations per pony to download. Somebody did that and downloaded it and just merged a bunch of my different animations together and made a music video out of it. It actually turned out pretty decent. I can pinpoint where the videos came from, but they made something unique from it. And I think it's really cool. So I have no problem with it. That's what I gave those for. Hello, Sunset. No polish. That actually is a little better. I think I don't want to make us feel like I'm saying no Polish. Like you're banned from my channel now. We're having a war against dolphins and hippos in 4K. Yes, it is going to be in 4K. It is default map lighting, no changes in lighting on anything. Depth of field is just nothing. And everybody was given a voice from a TTS program. So Lyra is Australian, and the dolphin is has an English accent. It actually turned out where I want that to be like the canon dolphin voice now, because it is great.
Just the computer voice.
Yeah, the computer voice. It worked so well.
Yes.
I don't want to play it because it's already like an early thing for patrons and stuff, but that will be out on Friday. It was just funny. And well, because with making videos, to me, one of the biggest limiting factors isn't models, it's audio. It's if I need a voice for something, I flip-flop so often on things that I don't like to request somebody to make something custom because I'm probably going to change it. And so I don't feel like I can rely on myself to make a final decision on that before something already came in and whatever. I've already had it before where I've had somebody make some stuff before and then the plans changed and I never used it. I don't like doing that to somebody. So, and also there's the time delay. I like being able to have things right away. And just anything audio is always the limiting factor for me. If I want to do something with talking, it's how do I go about doing that? So it was really nice with that I just found some TTS program and just made them talk whatever I needed. It was pretty funny.
There is that one program now that makes them sound like they do in the show.
Oh yeah, but that one I don't really want to use that. Plus, that only has Twilight and
no, they got them all now.
No, the software's down. It's been down for a long time.
It's down.
Yeah, it's been down for maintenance for a while. But even then, the last I saw, even from what that website was referencing, there's only 2 characters that were there in reference.
I've seen them use all of them at this point. Like
the person that wrote it has on Twitter that says that was referencing like what they were going to do with every message they got saying to add every character that was in the entire show. Mm-hmm. So, wow. But no, and I don't like that idea because what's the point of a voice actor then? If you have a program that does it, nifty, but at the same time, then it's like if somebody's had a program for me that or that they said, well, I don't need you to do an animation for me. I have a program that does it for me. I don't need you anymore. How would that make me feel?
Obsolete.
Yeah. And so I'd rather not do that for something for something super, super quick. That is like that we did Friday, then that's fine. Cause it was about how fast can I do it? And if you want to make a really quick meme, sure. But if I'm going to put time into something, I'm not going to use a program like that. It feels like I'm cheaping out when there are people out there that could use the work and the support.
But you don't want to use them.
But it's more of if I'm going to and I'm dedicated to making a project like that, I will use them. But I don't trust myself to stay dedicated to something like that. So I just don't make any content like that.
There's an impasse.
So that's why I use like TF2 audio because I can make something really, really quick. The dolphin cyborg theory is becoming more likely. They're all cyborgs. AI automation is neat and nifty until it takes your job. Well, and that's where I'm looking at. I'm looking at it from their perspective of, well, no matter what, you're going to get a better product from somebody actually speaking. And AI can do a pretty good job, but it's never going to be able to do as well as the person does until that AI is an actual intelligence. And then at that point, then it's a person. But we're not going to be there for a very long time. The AI technology is building an algorithm, and then you're using the algorithm. So in a way, you're not using an AI.
It's going to be the future. I'm just be like, hey, Argo, I did my own animation, and it's just me talking to my computer, and I'm just like, now make them kiss, and then it automatically animates.
Have you ever seen Face Rig?
Yes. That is pretty cool.
So
you can't make them kiss though.
You just churn and you'd like make kissy faces in one direction, and then you do it again, look in the other direction, and then you just edit the clips together.
Start my own YouTube channel. That's all it's gonna be. Just random people kissing.
Random people kissing.
Yeah.
It's like, and here is Abe Lincoln and Marilyn Monroe, and like
making out, just like in history.
Just like in history, yes. The real history of Abe Lincoln and Marilyn Monroe.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Oh yeah, so what I was gonna do was move this to here. Oh, that's way too much.
Has arrived.
And I'm going to blend these from here, and then I'm going to copy the animation to the other shot. This is actually how I've done some of the blended animations before. I'll animate it within this shot, and then I'll copy it over this one, because otherwise it's really hard to do a continuous thing. AI generated SFM. That's a lot more complicated, I think, to do. But at the same time, you would think that replicating a voice would be difficult, or I mean, they have that the deep fake stuff for faces, but I was watching some stuff. I think Corridor Digital did a video in regards to face swapping, and so they found a guy that does a Tom Cruise impersonation, a very, very good one, and they digitally edited his face to look like Tom Cruise. And that took them a lot of time to figure out. Once the algorithm is built, it's actually pretty easy, but getting it to that point just takes tens of thousands of pictures and references and some very smart people to do it. And even then you could tell it wasn't real or it wasn't right, but it was pretty neat.
I mean, with that voice program that I was talking about, you can tell it's an AI. It's not them speaking.
The point of it, though, isn't to be able to, at least for that stuff, isn't to be able to fake somebody into believing it's real. It's to get close enough that you don't have to think about who you're listening to. Mm-hmm. And in those in the AI, it was very good at making a representation of the voice with the inflections being the hard part, which is what TTS programs normally aren't that good at. But yeah, I'm not worried about losing my job anytime soon in that regard. Even my physical job to a degree, but still, I like to look at things from other people's perspectives when it comes to voice acting stuff. If I need something from somebody and need legitimately good quality stuff, I'm never going to go to an AI for it.
Lucky for me, I'm already the robot that replaced the real Michael years ago. So,
but at that point,
buzz, beep beep.
And at that point, who is the real Michael?
Well, it doesn't matter now because there's only one.
Because like, if you had a somebody that was replaced at the age of 12 with the robot, and that robot went to live on to be 75, then who is the real one?
The real one is the one that is less than 5 foot tall.
Less than 5 foot tall?
Yes, because robots don't get bigger than 5 foot.
What's the reason for that?
It's just robot reason.
It's just robot reason?
Yeah, if a robot
is this like
only grows to 5 feet.
Because if they get any bigger, they take too much power, and you can't have that big of a battery on a plane.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they gotta run on nickel metal, man.
Yeah, they're lead acid. It's all in their feet. They're like when they're stepping and like tong.
So if you all know somebody who's less than 5 foot tall, probably a robot. 5 foot or less. So they're all like right on that line. They most definitely are a robot.
So when I go to like the supermarket and you go to the aisle and it says 5 or fewer, is that for robots?
Only robots. That's how you watch those aisles.
You watch those aisles. You better watch. It's like the all the other aisles just have like bubble gum and chips on the side, and they got motor oil and batteries.
They need that stuff. It's not easy being that.
How tall was C-3PO? He was definitely. How tall was C-3PO?
I don't know. He always stood next to R2-D2, and R2-D2 was like. It
was all C. Well, he could have been taller, but it was just like in Lord of the Rings when they try to make the hobbits look small. It was just all camera trickery.
Yeah, it's just trying to make C-3PO look more than 5 feet.
There's a website that takes thousands of face pics, runs them through an AI to take bits and pieces to create real looking fake people. Yeah, I've seen that, but that's just using the algorithm to create something, or creating an output from it. But when you're trying to make a specific output is when it gets really, really complicated. But that's some of the programs. They're fascinating, but it does worry me when you have something that is getting so good in that regard that you can't. It's getting difficult to tell the difference, especially when they go into old video of stuff. Like there was the moon landing. They did took one of the actual speech that was written for the president at the time of one of the moon landings, where it was supposed to be read if they had died on the way going to the moon. And they edited and built a video to make it look like he was sitting there speaking it. And then they had a voice actor that sounded very much like the president and speaking those lines. And it looks pretty damn legitimate. It's hard when you're working with 4K video to make somebody's face look fake. But when you're playing with old tape or, well, maybe not film, but especially old tape footage, you have the benefit of scrubby video, so people can start making things up and making it seem real, and people like to just jump on anything being real.
You ever go back and watch like Forrest Gump? Like back in the 90s Forrest Gump, because they tried to do a little bit of that, but it shows that they weren't really good at the technology yet. With some of like, they would have like the president speaking to Forrest Gump, and it just
but for the time, that was actually really good.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta put it in the time frame.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I think the president wasn't what looked weird. It was putting him in there because it was bad. Trying to make somebody match the bad quality of a recording is difficult.
I think it was when their computer generated presidents tried to speak. It just didn't look right. If you ever go back and watch Forrest Gump. But yeah,
I don't plan to.
It's a good movie.
Well, it might be a good movie, but it's not like I have like an inkling one day of like, you know what I really want to watch today? I want to watch an old man running around.
Wow. Yeah, it's a lot.
I guess he's not really an old man, but
not in that one, anyways.
No, it was a good, there's a lot of good movie. It's don't be one of those people where one of my pet peeves is if you say, I haven't seen that. And they're like, oh, you haven't seen that? Why haven't you seen that? And I'm like, because I have a life. Like, wow. I can't watch every movie that's great in the world because
that implies the person who has seen that film doesn't have a life.
Well, no, because they've had movies they've seen or they haven't seen that maybe I would think that they should see. And it's like, there is tons and tons of great films out there, and some things are, well, there's preferences. I might not like something that you like, but when somebody actually gets angry about it and was like, you haven't seen that, you're missing out on amazing stuff. I'm like, no, you're actually making me not want to watch it now.
Hey, have you seen the new Trolls film?
You're moving out. Actually, I've heard it wasn't bad, or not the brand new one, but I thought like the first one wasn't as bad.
Did you see it?
No. Have you seen it?
No. I'm gonna throw a fit about you not seeing it.
What are you? Stop it, Michael.
I'm slapping my knees. Uh-oh.
Stupid face. Let me figure his head out. And then I will do that. Oh, that's too much of a swing. That's like a excited dog look.
I imagine the astronauts knew very well that there was a very real chance of them not coming back, because what they were doing was, I think they referred to it as bootstrap space travel, where they were just kind of.
Well, if you've seen Linus Tech Tips, Smarter Every Day, and mainly those two, they did a full thing at the laboratory that they were looking at. Linus is the one talking about the inner ring, like all the different mechanical stuff on there, all this electromechanical bits, the batteries of the 1960s on these things. It was fascinating, the technology that was on there, but at the same time, it felt like they were just like, they were attached to a paperclip on a fishing wire, attached to a rocket, and they were just hoping for the best.
I mean, the computer systems on the lunar lander were top of the line for 1969, but it was essentially, you probably have more computing power in like a standard like calculator these days.
Well, they were saying that the transistors on their databanks were hand woven. They were small little rings that were actually done by hand to be made. And they were super, super tiny, and they had like they had a bunch of professional sewists like that could work that small, but it's just a whole different time. Or they would talk about like how they would get data back on things, and they would take these like rolls of paper and they would roll it down the hallway with all the data on it, and they would go through with these like things with these little marks in it that would separate the data right, and they would go down the paper with this, and they would spend hours analyzing it to try to figure out specific issues. Now they just put it in a supercomputer and it's like,
yeah, they definitely got on the moon with the absolute bare minimum of what was required for them to even attempt landing on the moon. It was a race. I mean, it was, as soon as they thought they had a chance, they took it. Fascinating, if not reckless in retrospect, but you had to win it.
well, if you put enough money into something, you can do it right. A lot of the stuff that was in there was way ahead of its time.
Oh, yeah.
And worked. I mean, it worked really, really well. And the fact, like with Apollo 13, like the stuff that went wrong there, and them able to make stuff work from it.
Yeah.
They had some of the best minds and everything at that time. But since then, there just hasn't been the same budget. I mean, what percentage of the national budget was put into the moon project at that point?
Probably quite a bit.
Yeah, it's probably dwarfs anything other than military now. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yes.
There's no money in going to the moon. That's a lot of it.
Oh yeah, that's why it's this instead. Yeah, there's no money in it. Well, to a degree. Ooh.
I'm talking about like somebody paying like.
No,
vacation money.
there's money that can be made on it. It's just whether or not it makes up for the difference. Thanks for the follow, Cheese Whip. Look at her. Can I? It kind of works. Like, what if I gave her a big jaw? Her bones aren't named, so I have to kind of go through things. You know what it reminds me of?
It reminds me of the monsters from the Super Mario movie. That's what it
Yes,
reminds me of.
that's what I was gonna say too.
Yes.
It was like the freaking Goombas.
Yes, the Goombas.
See, it's it's a Goomba. It's like Goomba, Oompa
You know what upsets me
doo.
the most? That I remember the Super Mario Brothers.
I remember that part of it, but I knew you were gonna come up with at least that.
Yes. I feel like that movie. It wasn't good.
It wasn't bad either, though.
And I thought about they could make a good live action Super Mario Brothers movie. They just have to not do that again.
Or they just don't make a live action one.
They could totally do it, and they could like have this whole thing with like two plumbers going to the Mushroom Kingdom, which would be a whole different dimension through the toilet.
I know the thing. Every time they do, or most of the bad gaming movies are gaming movies that always just take somebody from the real world and they portal them to the other world, and they're like, now you're there, and you have to learn everything new, so we get to explain it.
But I like it because the idea of them going to a different dimension, because the gravity could be lower, and that would explain why they can jump so high. Like, because they got like Earth people legs on like a moon.
They have
environment.
because they have Earth people legs.
Yeah.
You okay? Now you're definitely the fake Michael. Freaking like Mark Zuckerberg over here. Like, I am real human being.
No, so you can
I do human things.
You can have like a dumpy plumber who can jump like 12 feet because he's like from Earth. It would work. It would be a good premise. And then you could have the whole thing where like the mushrooms don't affect like no people normally, except they eat one, they get huge.
But then when they punch him, what happens to him? Becomes a child?
No, he eats the mushroom and grows huge because it has a weird effect on him.
Uh-huh.
It's all.
And when he jumps on things, they have to explode into gore.
Yes. I kind of like this.
Yeah.
He just like some heavy-set plumber jumps from the sky.
Heavy-set plumber too?
He's Mario. Mario's heavy-set.
Okay, so who is playing Mario?
Oh, that's a good question.
Monster
Who
has
we get to play?
arrived.
Come on, Chad, help me. Help me. Who plays Mario?
No, see,
in this
I would think John Goodman.
He's too old.
He would work though. Maybe like if it was younger John Goodman.
Yeah, and if he like dye his hair black.
Just freaking grab Cheech and Chong. They would work for Mario and Luigi.
Kind of what if you got them when they were younger. Absolutely.
Hey man, we're gonna take the mushrooms, man.
Mushrooms. Arnold Schwarzenegger. No.
Arnold Schwarzenegger for which?
Neither.
No, he would play Peach. I am the princess.
Yes.
You must save me from the castle.
Danny DeVito as Mario.
He'd be Bowser.
That's before he ate the mushroom.
But he's a robot because he's under 5 feet tall.
Danny DeVito is a robot.
Yeah, I just want Cheech and Chong now.
Yeah,
with
Luigi.
Arnold as Peach. So who's Toad?
Has
No,
arrived.
but I always did imagine like they would find out they can eat the mushrooms and grow huge inside like an elderly Toad's house, and then they would just like wreck shit. And they would
With like giant pupils.
They're just looking up like, really?
Arrived.
I'm just saying they could make a live action Super Mario Bros. Movie work. It's just that I don't think Nintendo wants to do it after how big a flop the last one was.
More dumb Rattla stuff. I actually just done some Rathian stuff. We gave her a really tiny head, which got us whole start. That was actually what started the Mario conversation, and now we've been on that. How's your Thanksgiving? Okay, so Alexander wants you to say how your Thanksgiving was in Super Mario voice. I don't know how that's different from a Mario voice, but there you go.
It was a spicy Thanksgiving. I don't know.
Does Mario say spicy?
I don't know. He's Italian. Italians like that's a pizza and the matzo. I don't know. The Mushroom Kingdom.
You had pizza for Thanksgiving?
I mean, kinda. I think we just had like TV dinners.
Really?
We didn't have a get together.
What did you have for Thanksgiving Day?
Day?
Yeah.
I think we had like meatloaf.
Was there sweet potato pie?
Oh, my sister did drop off some. Yes.
Okay.
My sister dropped
Not
off.
pie. Sorry, casserole.
My sister dropped off some.
The same thing.
So we did that, but.
Arrived.
Okay, so I know I think we brought this up once before, but I need Chad to just make this decision too. So define what is in sweet potato casserole.
Well, if I remember correctly, it's sweet potatoes.
You made it.
Yeah, but it's been a bit. I made it last Thanksgiving, but we didn't do anything this year. It's sweet potatoes, not almonds. I think it's walnut, if I remember correctly. A bit of brown sugar, and then marshmallows on top, but the marshmallows are optional. You can have it with or without.
So it's marshmallows, sweet potatoes, and brown sugar, and nuts.
And nuts.
Okay. And what is it considered to be on the table?
It's a side dish.
It is a side dish.
Yes.
Okay. So marshmallows, brown sugar, sweet potatoes, and nuts. I think that's a dessert.
He's wrong.
And he's calling it a side dish.
It's very much a side dish. You eat it besides your turkey and your...
But you look at this thing, and this is a picture of it.
Yeah.
That is a side dish.
Yes.
Don't know.
So is corn pudding. Like corn pudding.
You guys just eat. You just guys eat dessert for lunch, and you just call it. Oh, I ate healthy.
It's It's a side dish. You don't eat it for dessert.
So you ate dessert for main dish and side dish for dessert. Yeah, that sounds right. And you ate meatloaf. Meatloaf is like the particle board of food.
It was TV dinner. It was like the government issued meatloaf too, because my dad, he was getting these like Medicare meals, and that's essentially what I ate, because that's what they had.
You didn't go pick something up?
No.
Or I guess
their freezer, they don't really have a lot of fridge and freezer space right now, because they don't have a proper fridge. But their situation's pretty abysmal. But that is not.
That's why I wasn't there.
Nobody wants to hear any of my depressing Kentucky stories. That is bad. It's got a bit of an overbite there. Did you even get a dumb face request, or is this just happening?
Cat wants a dumb Rathalos stuff, so I at least do one. See, this is Rathalos seeing the trailer for the for the movie.
All I heard from you, Sunset, was that it's a side dish, and that is correct.
Okay, that's a little bit of nightmare fuel right there.
That is pretty nightmare fuel.
No, he said side dish for main dish. He says you ate dessert, or no, Sunset. It is a side dish. Extra sugar is used to slow the appetite, so you don't overeat and elaborate dinners. That sounds like an excuse just to have sugar.
Yeah, it doesn't stop people from overeating.
You know, I request from my boss that I nap for 2 hours in the afternoon because it helps me be awake to be more productive. So I request that I at least nap 2 times. Okay, so somebody has gotten away with it. Okay, there's we actually to keep that under the limit. We have like a point thing for the voices and the stupid face stuff, because otherwise I never get anything done. So that's the and rewards people that hang around.
Mm-hmm.
Our dumpster has arrived.
Oh yeah, I need to have the cut, but I'm gonna have it go there for now.
Has arrived. Dumpster has arrived. Dumpster has arrived.
Wait, his eye needs to turn a bit more here too.
I'm imagining Danny DeVito playing Toad now.
Dumpster has arrived.
Danny DeVito playing Toad.
Yes.
Under one condition. He doesn't change his voice from anything other than just Danny DeVito.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Which is, I'm pretty sure, just what Danny DeVito
You're
does.
just gonna have Toad, but he's gonna be just angry and like irate and kind of insane.
Isn't that just Danny DeVito?
Yes, you just have Danny DeVito as Toad playing Danny DeVito.
And all Danny DeVito does, all his voice lines are just him repeating his memes. And then the like Toad, what are you gonna do? He's like, then I start blasting.
Yes.
It's really Rathalos says, I have a big dumb Rathalos and hunts dumpsters. He lives in there. I mean, where do you Rathalos, you see him in his little like nest in the ancient forest, but I don't think he lives there. I think that like this is his Rathian's place, and she kicked him out and put his stuff on the curb.
We all know why.
Why?
We all know.
Why?
We don't have to discuss it. We already know. I mean, look at him.
What does that mean?
We know.
What did he do?
I mean, by Dragon standards, he is pretty ugly. Rathian thinks so. But, you know, being the only other male of the species, you know, if you...
He's got himself 2 girls right here, too.
He's like... She's like, I wouldn't marry you if you were the last dragon on Earth. And it turns out, he is, and, well...
What is this, like Legend of Zelda? This...
I mean, That's the only reason Mario had a chance with Peach, right? Because he was the only other, like, human in the Mushroom Kingdom. And she's like, fine. But they had to watch Luigi a little bit. It was either him or Luigi.
They had to watch Luigi, like, babysitting?
Like, it was either between Mario and Luigi's inept, so she went with Mario. Though we all know Luigi's the better looking of the two.
Has arrived.
He's tall. So handsome.
He's also super rich.
He does have a mansion.
Yeah, there's the Game Theory did an episode on that of how much money did he make, and he was like, he walked out of there really rich. Actually, Game Theory was running they're running a charity stream today. I was watching most of it. They're trying to get to 1 million, and just before starting this stream, they were at 1.8 million. Mm-hmm. YouTube donated $450,000.
What is this charity
for St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
Okay, well, that's wonderful.
And YouTube paid for a lot of the production stuff to work in the background because it was COVID and they were bringing people in. So they actually have a guy on staff that is a COVID like a COVID professional type person that is watching everything to ensure that everybody's maintaining everything safety wise. So they're doing really, really good job. And they brought in a ton of YouTubers too, some that I recognize. And it was pretty entertaining. Their Among Us stream was actually really entertaining to watch. So, but no, their goal was to hit, 1 million, but then otherwise to break last year's 1.3. And when they had a video that was recorded of the YouTube CEO from previously of when they hit 500,000, but they hit 500,000 in their like first hour. And so they blew all their milestones out of the water. So they were hoping to hit them as they went through the stream, but instead they hit all their milestones in the first 3 hours. So then they're like, so when we say in this video that we're hoping to get to 1 million, yeah, they did it a long time ago. They're very emotional about all of it because they had tons of people donating thousands at a time. So it was really, really cool to see how many people. There's like 250, 300,000 people watching right now. 270,000. But they're doing the Five Nights at Freddy's Markiplier part right now. So that makes sense. But yeah, no, it was actually very, very entertaining. The production value and everything has been very good. So it's been fun. So if you can go donate and help out because it was it's for a good cause. And all the money they make there is 100% going to the charity, and the 100% of all sales for all the certain T-shirts they're selling are going to the charity. Where the company that's making the T-shirts is putting a donation right back in for any money that comes in for those T-shirts. It's really, really cool. Yeah, it was very, very successful. Much more than they were expecting. Because right now their goal is to see if they can get to 2 million, and their stream's going for another hour and a half, 2 hours. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna get there. I think
Our dumpster has arrived.
I think the cutting for this I can do a little earlier.
Our dumpster has arrived. Has arrived. Has arrived. Our dumpster has arrived.
I'm trying to think of how I want to cut this, because if I cut it, I feel this works better for timing,
Has arrived.
but I also feel like
Our dumpster has arrived.
you just looked at him over here and then it cuts. But if I do it here,
Has arrived.
I mean, I can do it maybe afterwards.
Has arrived. Dumpster has arrived.
You have something for me? Person in chat.
Can I post a link to a Google Doc in the general Discord category? It's for Michael. I mean, yeah, I guess if you want, as long as it's like not a virus or something, and if it is, it's on his phone, so it's fine. Can you disconnect from the internet before you download it?
Well, I'm not connected to your internet right now. I'm connected
I was waiting.
to the cell tower.
Oh, okay. I was waiting for you to be like, but I have to be on the internet to download things.
I'm not on your internet right now. That
Arrived.
requires effort on my part.
Arrived.
Bitch, go ahead. I am waiting for your virus. Right now, in general chat, it's just a picture of Stone Cold Steve Austin shotgunning a beer all over his face.
Hey, that was quality entertainment in early 2000s. Wow, that was 20 years ago.
Don't think about it. It'll hurt.
It does. Wow. Well, I want to find a current picture of Stone Cold Steve Austin.
He's just in a walker. He's just got a walker and he's sad and he's dying of liver cancer from all the beer.
I think my biggest problem with this transition is that his head is swinging from right to left, but then when it goes to here, it's swinging from left to right. It's the same physical direction, but the change in the camera position, it's technically breaking the 180 rule. Well, no, actually it's not, but it feels like I am. So in cinematography stuff, the 180 rule is that if you have two subjects that are a focus, and you're on one side of a conversation between the two of them, that you should never cross that line to the other side. That's the 180 rule. And it feels like I'm doing that here, but technically I'm at the 180 on the other side, and then I'm swapping to not full 180 on the other. So technically I'm not. It just doesn't feel right. But I want to show the dumpster. Can I
Okay. It's an entire site dedicated to the worship of Derpy.
Are you going to join?
I don't know that you so much join as you just look at the website and read all, it's long.
Does it come with free punch?
I mean, look at all this. This is the whole, site that tells you how to worship Derpy and how the following of Derpy.
You're going to read all that later. I know you're going to read it.
Somebody said the Holy Order of Derp is what it is referring to. That is not.
That sounds like a legitimate cause.
Yes. I mean, it will be the kind of religion where we will require people to be forced to accept religion, so it's non-negotiable. We will rise.
Girls,
We will rise up.
dumpster has arrived.
This will go.
Let's go, girls. Has arrived.
I kind of feel like this camera angle works better. I'm not as much of a fan of it, but I feel like it doesn't cause as much of a disorientation of positioning. Yeah. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this camera and we're just going to place another one. There. So now I can go back if I want. There we go.
Arrived.
Yeah, this order is all about love and tolerance and helping others. I'm wanting to raise an army for this group, and then we will force people to love.
Well, that's what Christianity was about, and they did crusades.
Violence. Yeah, we're gonna use violence to convert everybody to derpyism.
Is that what it's called, derpyism?
Well, they call it the Holy Order of the Derp. That's what they got it on here.
How many members?
It doesn't say, but I hope we have enough to
upon initiation and proof of taking first blood, you shall be brought into the.
If I've learned anything of war from the game Risk, we need to start in Australia.
A proposal for a non-profit theological fan club.
Yes.
Theological fan club.
Yeah.
That sounds legit. And it's a proposal.
So
Muffin Crusade.
Muffin Crusade. We have to start in Australia. So.
Why?
Because that's how you play Risk. You take over Australia first, and then you work your way up through Asia. This is where I've learned all my war tactics.
It's from Risk.
War game, yes.
When are you moving?
To Australia? I'm not gonna do it. I need an army. I don't have to.
Our dumpster has arrived.
I'm a commander. I can I tell them what to do through Discord. I'm fine. I'll stay up late on my.
You're a commander?
Yeah, clearly. I mean, I shouldn't be on the front line.
You could barely tell somebody...
I'm too important.
You can't ask somebody to move from an aisle in Target, let alone command an army.
I'll stay up late on the weekends and, like, tell them, hey, guys, take over Sydney.
Yeah, we're working to take over a new country. We need your help. You're like, yeah, I would, but I'm playing Surviving Mars, and I really gotta get into this.
They do have to work on my schedule, so they can get stuff done without me. It'll be fine. Just make sure they're like...
I bet that is the true words of a leader.
Yes. It's like, sir, we need your help. What should we do? It's like, I'm like,
I didn't hire you because you were incompetent. Figure it out for yourself.
Yes. I have supper I gotta get to.
Yes.
I'm making rolls.
I give the orders around here. Get to me McDonald's.
Yes. And it better have pony dirt. That's the thing. That's the first thing the army needs to do. They need to fight. When they release My Little Pony toys at McDonald's, there needs to be a derpy toy. There's not once been a derpy toy. They've had like 5 runs of pony toys.
Probably because she's not popular enough. Wow. The little kids aren't gonna know. They're gonna be like, who is the gray horse? I don't want the gray horse. I want Fluttershy.
Fluttershy's awful.
But says the 35-year-old male.
Yes. It makes me like 3.5 times more important than this.
Means I have way more experience than this.
Yeah.
Those girls just haven't lived life long enough.
Yeah, they don't have the experience now. Have the experience now.
How many conventions have they been to?
Yeah, exactly. They don't know. Get out of here. I remember when they did the first run of Pony Toys, I went to a McDonald's every day to see which one they had.
I know. Because you mentioned it.
Yes. It was awful.
How many Happy Meals did you buy?
None.
You just bought the toy?
I just bought the toy.
And nothing else?
Nothing else. I don't like that ones.
I know, but that's even weirder. Like, if at least you're going there for food and you're like, huh, I'll get a toy. No, you're the weird guy that, like, comes in, like, sweating profusely even though you only just got out of your car. And you go up to the register with, like, the side eye and then the, like, I'm a brony, deal with it shirt.
Give me your ponies.
You give me the... And then they're like, well, we're out of them, sir. And you'd be like, check in the back. You, like, went full Karen.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, I want all that. I did get all the pony toys from the first run. I didn't care so much after.
What? It's McDonald's.
They were ponies.
But
I wanted them.
You could have got way better stuff out of, like, anything else at the store.
Probably. But those were, like, special.
And where are they now?
They're in a plastic bag in my closet.
They mean so much to you.
I think they'd be out if I had more shelf space. I need another bookcase.
You have no space for a bookcase because you have like that big wood thing that sits there.
That needs to get thrown out. Yeah.
Yeah. When?
Someday. When I'm really desperate for that bookcase.
You should. You can get shelves or.
That's what bookcases
other...
are. Shelves.
Yeah, but you get the cheapest black shelf and you're just stacking them in layers. I'm waiting for you're gonna find a small one that's just like you're gonna turn it sideways and put it above the other bookcases. You're just gonna have like a room that is just wall to wall bookcases and your bed in the middle of it. That's it. Like, where's your monitor? You like attached it to the ceiling.
Yes.
You're like, it's the only space I had left. I would put a bookcase there, but gravity.
Gravity makes the ponies fall off.
Like, McDonald's toys are collectibles, but I don't like the idea of things that are purchased for the purpose of holding on to it for like an investment.
No, I took them all out of the bags and put them on shelves. I didn't care about that.
But you didn't even keep them in the shelf. You put them back in a bag and shoved it in the closet.
I don't have space for them. I got too many plushies.
Our dumpster has arrived.
Or not enough shelves. One of the two. Probably the latter.
I've offered if we got things like organized, you could have so much more space.
It's not an issue of space. It's an issue.
You just talked about that. You just needed more space. The shelves are about adding space.
I need to throw out that old TV stand. That's what I need to do.
But then all you're doing is you're adding space for another shelf. Mm-hmm. And that's cleaning things up. If you got everything organized, you'd have so much free space. And if you threw away like half your crap.
No. I want to throw away shelves. I just need to throw away that one TV stand because I don't need it anymore.
The one that you like picked up a board for and were nailing upstairs for like a whole day?
Yeah, it scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell are you doing up there? Nothing. More space for pawns?
Yes.
I have like... In my last place, I had my room kind of decked out. Now I haven't really done that because
His room's bigger and he's got a bigger closet to put them all in.
Well, I have a much bigger room, but that's all I do is sleep in it. So when I go into the room, it's usually dark, and then I wake up and I leave my room and I don't go back into it until it's time for bed. So I don't feel the need for decking it out because I just don't use it enough. I've thought about adding some stuff to it where it is more usable, but again, it would be like, oh, I can add a TV and a couch. I have that right here, so why would I need to? So I haven't figured out what I want to fully utilize this space for, so I haven't put as much of the stuff up. There's a couple things I want to do in the main living room still, but I want to the top of the bookcase there. I have something planned for it, but it isn't going to be here for another probably month, so I can't do much with that corner until that comes in. And so, hot tub. I have a hot tub. We did technically have a jacuzzi tub that came with the place. Or a jacuzzi bathtub.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. I just never use it because I don't take baths.
Yeah, me neither.
Every now and then I have to dust it out because it gets really dusty. And it came with was installed when this place was built because I found pictures of another place that's in like a neighbor one. It was the exact same tub.
No, I don't like baths because you can't get all the soap off. Because it's all in the water, and then you're in the water.
I like the heat of water, and a shower, you keep getting heat, but a tub, it's gone.
Well, no, you make tub water hot as the sun, and it hurts at first, but then it feels good after you've been in it for a bit.
That sounds like you're just torturing yourself and causing permanent damage to the cells in your skin.
It feels nice once you get settled. I mean, all your skin turns red.
Yeah, you scream in intense agony for 20 minutes, but the 10 minutes after that are actually average.
Yeah.
Because you can't feel anything anymore.
Exactly.
The blisters start forming at 40 minutes.
Well, that's really...
And by then the water's cooled off, which makes feel pretty good. A true collector hermetically seals his collection so it's to provide optimum replayability during their midlife crises. But even now, there was a gap there for gaming, where games would come out in the 90s and the early 2000s, but then there was really no option to go back and play those unless you had the original retro systems. Now, most of the stuff is being re-released. The only thing I have a problem with a lot of the re-released stuff is they usually have modified it. Final Fantasy VI was one of them that they modified it to work with mobile. And on the phone, that actually kind of works pretty good. It works really well on mobile, but then the PC version is just the mobile version brought over. And when you tried to update the graphics when not everything then matches, where character sprites then feel a little bit different than the original background, it doesn't work as well. I really wish I could just play the original on a lot of those, not the modified version that they feel they have to do. Just re-release it again. I will pay money for a re-release on something that's more official. And no, I know emulators. I know that's what you're thinking in the back of your head.
No, I was thinking that in the first run of McDonald's toys, they didn't release Applejack.
Emulators?
Emulators?
Vinyl strap?
Vinyl scratch.
Vinyl strap sounds like something that shouldn't be sold at McDonald's.
Yes.
It's Twilight and her vinyl strap.
No. McDonald's why?
What do we want to do with the two in the background?
Like, emulators, for a while, were the only way to get some games. Because
Yeah, that was where it was in that in-between area
yeah,
where you didn't have much option.
you couldn't get them at the stores because they didn't make them anymore. You'd be lucky to find them used. They didn't make the systems for them anymore, so you'd have to find that. So they just didn't exist for the longest time outside of emulators. Now it's a bit more of a gray area because they're re-releasing a lot of this stuff for like the Switch and cell phones and whatnot. Though I would say the one game that's still super hard to find is Mario RPG. Like, that one is still, if you want to play it, you pretty much emulator or bust.
But I'm pretty sure that that's a licensing thing.
Yeah, but it's still, like, that's the only way you're going to play that game. Even the cartridges they sell, like, on eBay are just, they're not originals. They're, like, people make them still now.
Well, and even if you're a collector of video game stuff, there's even different levels of it. Like, I have 2 copies of Final Fantasy VII for PlayStation 1, but they're both green label, not black label. And that is a large distinction. And for those that haven't game back then, that was green label. It means that it was a re-release as a greatest hits, and which is it, instead of having the black PlayStation bar on the side, it would say greatest hits in green. And I originally had an original release of it, but I don't know where it went. Both the ones that I have now are collect the greatest hits. I used to have a black label Xenogears. Yeah. And that one, I believe, was actually quite expensive for a while, because that one, Xenogears, came out and it was met with quite a bit of success. But then they stopped producing it until Xenosaga came out. Then they put it back into production as a greatest hits, and that dropped the price of a lot of them. But the black label was still a rarity.
I have the black label copy of Final Fantasy VIII upstairs. I brought it with me. It's upstairs.
Yeah, I think I have one of black label of them. I have Final Fantasy 2 of 7, 8, 9, Vagrant Story, which is still one of my favorite games too. Thanks for the follow, gaming. What games do I still have on PlayStation? Main ones I kept are all my Final Fantasies because they're just a classic.
Yeah.
I
I think I have 9.
I don't even have a PlayStation.
Well, you can play them on your PC now.
Really?
Emulator.
Oh.
But you can use the disc. You can use.
Oh yeah, at least you're using the original disc then,
Yeah.
and that I can see it working pretty well.
Same
But I have Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9 on here, on Steam. So, and those ones are actually emulated fairly well and they're still upgraded. Final Fantasy 8 actually had some complaints in regards to how they did the upgrading.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know about PlayStation 3 games, but PlayStation 1 and 2 games, if you want to play them on your PC and you have the disc, it's not hard to set up.
Interesting tidbit. Final Fantasy VIII, the Balam Garden song that's played when you're in Balam Garden at the beginning of the game, or really, I guess, anytime you're in Balam Garden, the music for that. So I went to the concert, the Final Fantasy concert the one time, and they were talking there, and they were saying that they requested that song from Square Enix. And so they work very closely with Square Enix to actually get the real sheet music. And when they asked for that song, they said, we can't give it to you. And he's like, why not? We've gotten a lot of the other songs. They're like, because it no longer exists. Like, the original sheet music for the Balam Garden song is gone. They I don't know what the reasoning was for it, but it just doesn't exist anymore. And they didn't like that answer. So they went and recreated it. And I mean, it's one thing to be like, well, it's just got to be notes and a keyboard. No, this is a full orchestra. So they had to recreate a full orchestra mix for it. And it turned out beautiful. That was the one that we went to, was one of the first ones where they were playing it after they put that together.
Is that Eyes on Me? Or?
No, it's the Balam Garden theme.
Okay.
No, Eyes on Me is like a whole different thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, they didn't play that in the middle of Balam Garden.
No, they played it at the end.
No, I don't think they played Eyes on Me at the concert, because they didn't have a singer for the version that I was at, so it was just all the instrumental stuff. they still play like the game video in the background and stuff, and it was super cool just to be there. That was one of like my favorite concerts to go to.
I'll still never forget when I was just sitting down at a Chinese restaurant and it just started playing a Eastern instrumental version of Eyes on Me, and I'm just sitting there eating my food and I'm listening. I'm like, this is Eyes on Me from Final Fantasy. It's an odd song to just pop up on a speaker while you're eating.
It's a good song.
It is a good song.
You know, Final Fantasy X2 was a meh game, but some of the music that came from that is my favorite in the series.
Painful game.
But the music was really good. Memories of Lights and Waves, or Eternity Memories of Lights and Waves, is one of my favorite songs. Thousand Years, I think that was the main concert one from there, and the cinematography that was used for the cutscenes for that song were great. The game just wasn't very good.
Just all like this revered religious entity that's seen along the lines of this world, and as the same as like the Dalai Lama, where the reincarnate or is now a pop star.
Yeah, it was.
It's like what?
The combat was neat and actually kind of cool. I mean, the dress sphere reasoning for their job system was weird, but it was actually kind of cool. I did like the combat system, but all the background story was just stupid. And then they're even like, we're going to go and find the best person. And then you figure out the whole thing is a lie. And it was just, I didn't like that. But it was actually that game's music that got my mom into the Final Fantasy music. And so I ended up buying all the piano collections. So piano, you can actually buy the OSTs for the games, but then they actually have a separate version that is just piano versions. And I bought all those. My mom actually paid half because she wanted them too.
I think the other thing that just didn't make sense is I didn't finish Final Fantasy X-2. I played some of it, but I didn't finish it. And it still had the monsters in it, right? It still had monsters.
10-2? Yeah.
Like, and that doesn't make any sense if you paid attention to the story of the first game, because when Yu Yevon the dream ends. All those things from his dream should have disappeared.
But the monsters that were in the world,
they were part of the dream. They didn't exist in the world before the dream.
But it doesn't. That was the reason for everything in that game. But it doesn't mean that was the continuing reason for their existence outside that. They can throw in another reason at that point. I don't remember. I haven't played that game forever.
Yeah, I haven't either. But it was a bit of like no.
10-2 is better to me than 13-2. 13-2 is horrid.
I didn't play any of the 13 games.
I didn't either. I just watched cutscenes of it, and I actually couldn't finish it. Yeah. It was just repetition over and over and over again. I couldn't get into that, and then because of that, I never watched the content from 13-3, Lightning Returns. Though I heard that one was better. Final Fantasy 15 was supposed to be a 4.
Was it?
Final Fantasy 15's original name was Final Fantasy 13 Versus.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they changed that because 15 turned out fantastic on its own.
I played 7, 8, and 9. 8 was the first Final Fantasy I ever played. Then I went back to 7, and 7's story was better. Then I played 9.
7 had good moments in it, but I think it is a bit overrated for what it was.
I think it was one of the first games that I played, and I think the reason it's overrated by today's standards is because the idea of a villain being anything more than "wah ha ha, I'm going to kidnap the princess and kill Mario" was a step up for games at that point in time. Like it's kind of like there's much more deep villains today, but back then it was newer.
No, I felt that like 15 I think has one of my favorite stories in a game. The problem with 15's story is that they don't give it all to you in an easy to delve in format. Final Fantasy 7 at least provides a lot of that content to you and then afterwards adds some supplementary content. Yeah. But Final Fantasy 15, to understand the story, you need to like play all the single DLCs for the 4 other characters. You need to play Comrades all the way through to understand that time gap. You need to watch 4 different anime shorts. And so and then the movie, without the movie, it makes no sense. So it's an ecosystem that you have to absorb. And even then you have to read everything in the game to fully understand it. I do miss the old Final Fantasies where most of that information was provided narratively to you. Yeah. But 15's story, when you actually get to read into it, I think is actually way better. It's just, they didn't execute it well.
Just play Final Fantasy 15, then the story's a little bit, you can feel pieces are missing.
Well, yeah. Especially when I played it before the ending was modified.
Yeah.
I don't like the way they ended. They modified the very ending, but like the whole like walking through Chapter 13, I remember that being that when you're spending forever walking through this like hallway after hallway, and it was meant to be a certain feeling, and they executed that correctly, but it wasn't the right feeling. They could have done that way better. So I don't think 15 was perfect in that regard, but I love hearing the narrative in the background of it.
I think 15, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people would agree, was the best Final Fantasy since Square Enix became a thing.
No.
Because 10 was Squaresoft. It was like the last...
Oh, was 10 Squaresoft? Oh, I thought 10 was Square Enix. Okay.
The first Final Fantasy Square Enix put out was 10 too.
No, because the Final Fantasy 14 has been really successful too. It's still going.
Well, that's the online one, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that I really consider it the same.
It's taken on. It's a huge thing now, and they're still making content for it.
Yeah. I mean, I played Final Fantasy 11, and that was the first Final Fantasy online.
I played a lot of MMOs, and I played Final Fantasy 14 for a little bit because Amazon Prime gave it to you free for a few months. Mm-hmm. I did enjoy it. I mean, I couldn't really get into it because I was playing it solo, and it was just hard to play an MMO solo. But it was actually good. It was good, and there was a lot of narration to it. And then even Final Fantasy 15 to cross over with 14 and bringing one of the characters from there. That's why I've actually been going back and playing Final Fantasy 15 again because it was just such a good game, and I beat it on PlayStation fully, 100%, as much as I could. Then when I came to PC with the Royal Edition, I just went through to beat it, and I didn't. But there was a lot of content that's been added since then, and I just ignored it all. And so I'm actually going through and doing everything now. So I'm already probably 45, 50 hours in. I'm 35 levels higher than I was when I beat the game before, and I'm only halfway through. But I think you only need to be level 45 to actually beat the game. So because I beat the game last time in 23 hours on PC from beginning to end. Thanks for the follow, Universal. Bark. I kind of want to have this. I need to shrink in the middle of this because I want it to be a bit snappier. No, it's too snappy.
Our dumpster has arrived.
I think that works. I'm gonna move this a little bit here.
You really need to get
our dumpster has arrived.
Tongue in these dragons.
Dumpster.
But if I have a working tongue, I would have to just make full lip sync, and then at that point, I could make them talk. The whole reason that they bark is so that I didn't have to put that effort into it. Otherwise, I would actually go and name these bones. But that's more work than it sounds like. That's a ton of work. Because it's like, oh, you have to export the model. Then you have to go into Blender and you have to rename all the bones. But then if you rename all the bones, none of the animations for the background all link to the new bones. So you have to update the QC compiling to match up all the old bone names to the new bone names. You have to update all the animation stuff to redirect all the bone names. And if it's different than the Wrathfuls one in any way, I'd have to make or modify the rig to work with the new bone names. Thankfully, the bone structure is the same, so I could probably cheat that last part, but I would have to make sure that everything is spelled exactly the same. And
we just gotta have the future where I just lean over to the mic and say, make the dragon pant like a dog. Yes. And then it does it.
That just sounds like furry stuff. Here, no, make them kiss. No, kiss. More kiss. Do all the kiss.
Let me try talking into the computer. Make the ponies kiss.
No, you're looking at me. Why are you looking at me when you say that?
He's only
That's
5 foot tall, everyone.
no. I'm 5'11".
Don't listen to him. He's a robot. It's already happened.
Our dumpster. Our
It's already happened.
It's already. You are the animating robot.
We're recording this in a shoebox. We're all super tiny.
Yes, it's true. Send whiskey to our shoebox.
Never finished playing Final Fantasy X2. I missed the quest for the third armor and could beat the boss without it. I refused to replay it all those hours again. Yeah, it was. I got it originally because I was just a super big Final Fantasy fanboy at the time. Mm-hmm. I was a fanboy starting with Final Fantasy 6.
6 was good. I didn't go back and play it till I was much older.
And that was when it was called 3 in America. I that was my original copy. I spent like $80 on the cartridge because it was hard to find at the time. But Final Fantasy, when I played Mystic Quest as well, but it was Final Fantasy 6 was the big one that I got into, and then I followed Final Fantasy and Square all the way through Final Fantasy 10, and then 10-2. I played 12. I never got into 11 because I just had bad internet at the time. I played 12, but I never beat it. I still have never actually beat it. I got it on Switch, and then I kind of fell away from finishing it. My problem with 12 is it doesn't feel vibrant. Everything just looks brown. But and then 13 I only played recently, but I never played 13.2 and 13.3 because I just didn't think they were that good, and the games were meh.
PlayStation was definitely the golden age for Final Fantasy games. It kind of feels like 6 was good, but it was the only really good one of like the Super Nintendo days. Like the others were fine games, but they weren't huge.
Have you seen like the trailers for Final Fantasy 16?
No. Does it look good?
I don't know. Well, at least for the information that's out there, it seems like they're making a big, vibrant world. It just doesn't. I don't feel if it vibes with me the way some of the others used to. But who knows? It actually feels so much like Plague when I was playing Plague. Mm-hmm. That's what a lot of the game looked like. It was a small boy child with superpowers, and you have superpowers, but that were given to you, I think, by the child, like the powers of the Phoenix or something. And I don't know, because one of my favorite parts with 15 was they created a bondship or a kinship with the people that you're with, so it didn't feel like a party. It felt like an actual group of friends that you had feelings and backstories and personalities and felt real, to where when bad things happened to them, you legitimately felt bad. And so I just don't know if they can get that magic to work again.
What I will say about like the Final Fantasy VII remake I didn't play
that was really good.
But I watched you play it, and what I will say about it is that I appreciate it. It was what fans wanted, at least in part. Fans want the whole thing, but they gave us Midgar, which in the actual Final Fantasy VII game, that's like the first 10% of the game, and that's it.
It's a big part of it, though.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a good game, and it looked like fun, but I don't know. Like, I wanted it so bad growing up. That's what I wanted more than anything. Maybe that and Half-Life 3. Still wanting that one. But, I don't know. It just didn't feel... It didn't have the same level of magic that the original released the game. And if I was to go back and play if I had time to either play Final Fantasy VII again or go back and play the remake, I'd almost want to just go back and play Final Fantasy VII again.
The remake was great. The remake was really, really well done.
Yeah, it's just... I think throwing Sephiroth in there at the end.
But it's because they're taking it their own way, because if they did a 100% straight remake, it wouldn't... I don't think it would be as good. And I'm curious as to where they're going to go with it. There's already been... not just implied, but almost directly stated that everything, or that Aerith knows everything that was going to happen.
Yeah.
and knows everything that happened previously and is to where that they almost think the theory is that they are that the whole story in the world is her after she went in the live stream. And so that everything that's going on is her within the live stream. Like an alternate reality type thing. It's an interesting concept, but it follows her character more because there's even the bit on the hill where if you or please her right, she's on the hill, even though she's in the tower. And he's like, how did you do this? And she's just like, magic. And so there's all these things that don't 100% make sense. And every time something happens that's different, she recognizes that it's different than the original. Yeah. And so that they're not remaking the game. It's a sequel of sorts. And it's interesting.
I want to see two things from the follow-ups. I want to be able to see some sort of carryover of your character from one game to the next. And I'm kind of hoping they follow a lot of the same beats from the original game like they did in this one, with just stuff added in and maybe some things changed, but overall like the same locations, the same general story, which is what they did in the remake. But as long as they do that, I think I'll be happy with it. But it's going to be a long time if they ever actually finish the whole game, because
development of it for the second game only started after basically the first one was already out. So
if they kept going at this pace, it would take another 9 games to finish the whole story.
They're not. Well, they put most of their effort into Midgard because if you're going to make an area, a large area, and put a lot of effort into it, in the original game you could go back and forth to make something of that detail. Nowadays it's basically impossible. So their idea, I think, was this is a centralized area. If we did anything outside of this area, it would take a huge investment to build it. Mm-hmm. So instead, let's make all this game within these walls. And now that we're out of those walls, we can say you're out of that area, you never go back. And now you're in these walls. Yeah. And so, but where do you stop it? I think I could see them going basically up to like Golden Saucer almost. But even then, that's a huge amount of the world. So how do you represent that? I don't know. That's going to be tough from the now perspective. And you wouldn't be able to make an open world game like Final Fantasy 15 work in that fashion because the scale of that world doesn't work the same.
I mean, in Final Fantasy 10, looking back, you could kind of travel from one place to the next, but it was each area was pretty self-contained.
Our dumpster.
Just kind of hopped around.
Final Fantasy 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was no open world there.
Yeah.
And that's what Final Fantasy 7 Remake is.
Kind of, yeah. It was like,
but that's what Final Fantasy 7 was until you actually walked outside.
That'd be crazy if you wanted to go back. That would be a crazy thing for them to somehow manage, is that you could go back to those areas but it would save your character from one game, and then you could take it back into the other game, and you would legit have to switch between the games with your character. That would be crazy.
Well, they have all the data on the other discs, so technically they could say put in other discs, but when is the last time you had to do that?
It's been a while.
Since Final Fantasy 9?
Yeah, it's been a while. Wouldn't that would that's what would make it feel so much like Final Fantasy 7 is when it asks you to put in the second disc.
Final Fantasy Remake had that.
Yeah.
There was a data disc and then the play disc. And when you went to play the game, it said put in the data disc first. Mm-hmm. So it would load all that on the hard drive. So then you could put in the second disc. So technically, there was a second disc. It was just loading it on the hard drive instead of you playing it from the disc. So technically, yes, they did that.
We're coming full circle, guys.
It's an interesting time to be a gamer. If only we could get our graphics cards.
Yes. You guys are the ones suffering. I'm fine.
With your old RT cores.
my old. That's old.
It is old, man. Well, now they just released, tomorrow, the 3060 Ti.
3060.
3060 Ti.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Card is old.
it's a $400 card.
I mean, I just bought my card at like the start of the year.
Yeah, the 3060 Ti it's $400 and it has a performance equivalent to the 2080 Ti Super on most things. And you have a 2070?
Super.
Yeah, so that card and the lowest end of the market right now for Nvidia blows your card out of the water. For 4K, well, no, not for 4K gaming. That your card actually isn't really a good 4K card either. That's the 3080. So you're gonna have to upgrade.
I get 60 frames.
And you're playing on a TV that only does 60 frames.
Yeah. My card is plenty fine for my current display.
Double layered one discussion game over. I never actually played God of War, so I actually do not know. The double layered, so it's just like a super thick disc.
There were dual layer DVDs. They could basically hold twice as much as a standard DVD.
In 4K, the 2080 Super usually got a few frames higher than the 3060 Ti test saw. Yeah, it was. But he is a 2070 Super.
In my PC, which is better than what you got. So,
yeah, I know, but I'm not playing at 4K. I'm playing at half as the resolution. I'm playing at 2K.
Play Alex. That's all that matters.
But even that's not 4K.
I don't know what the index is.
I believe it's two 1440s. Well, which technically I guess is 4K equivalent.
Yeah.
But I think so. I can't remember what theirs is.
The 2070 Super was what was the recommended for that game. Alex is demanding. Game.
But if you put the fidelity at high and at low in that game, you can barely tell the difference.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. If you want the maximum resolution, sure, but if you would stare at a texture on the ground, you can't tell the difference between it. The volumetrics are slightly better, and some of the lighting is slightly better, but I can run it at medium perfectly fine. But it doesn't. You don't have to run it at maximum anyway.
Yeah.
But most of the super detailed animation that's in there is in controlled environments to where nothing else is going on that they have to worry about, so that they can just have it all static and running perfect. But one day, maybe in like 2022, I'll be able to get a graphics card. No, I want to get a new graphics card, but I'm a little concerned to get I thought about getting the AMD 6900 XT, but Nvidia's current cards, usually they say like when they come out with the like Nvidia or AMD makes their card, that the AIBs when they make their cards are going to have a big performance boost because they're going to like optimize thermals and overclock it and whatever. But then Nvidia goes and puts out a card that is equivalent to the AIBs because they basically made their own custom board after the reference board. AMD, every one of the AIBs in those cases are the normal case where they are basically blowing the reference cards out of the water. So if you want good performance for them, getting the original cards is a bad idea. But the problem with AMD's is the 6900 XT goes on sale in like a week and a half. I think it's 12. So like just under 2 weeks. And that is going to be the reference card. It's not going to be the special cards. So it's probably going to perform the minimal of performance specs, and it costs $1,000.
It's going to be a while before I bother to upgrade my card.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, but you bought into the 20 series and I haven't. So I really want to, but
now the 30 series is out. So you're like, well, I want that now.
Well, the 30 series is, you're not paying the premium for a new technology. You're paying the lower cost after it's been developed. But I don't care about RTX. I don't care about ray tracing. I want the noise cancellation and just the better performance. That's all I care about with RTX. Okay, that camera stops way quicker than it should.
Can't even remember what card I was using before I got the 2070. It was pretty crap.
Depends on the resolution you're running at. I I'm not running 4K, I'm running 2K, but I have a 165 hertz monitor. So I want the best performance to try to optimize that frame rate. And for some of the stuff I've played, I can get into like the 90 to 120 pretty easy. I want the boosted performance to try to actually maximize over 120, because usually I can tell up to about 90 to 110. Anything past that, it starts really being harder to tell the difference between such. And so I want to be able to stay in that range consistently. And like I'm playing Final Fantasy 15, and I'll run anywhere from usually 68 to about 90 frames a second. But I have certain settings turned down to make sure I can stay in that range.
I saw this one cartoon that was so very true, where it's like, I'm upgrading my computer's graphics card, and the person next to me is like, oh, you want to play a new game? It's like, no, I want to play old games faster. It's like, that's so true.
Like when I was originally looking at getting the graphics cards, the things that I was using, or the games that I was playing, was like Hades, like Nova Drift. It's all these like pixelated games, and I'm like, I need best performance.
It's like, I will not be happy until I can play Undertale at 300 frames.
But no, it's for games like Monster Hunter. I want to play Cyberpunk, but I will not play it until I get an upgraded graphics card, because I don't feel like going to play it and then only getting half the visual experience until I get that.
Sure, I'll be able to play it on high with my current card. So
you want an NVMe? Yeah, NVMe is, if you don't have if you have a standard SSD, that's fine. For now, an NVMe is like, right now my PC is running, the boot drive is a Intel like 760 gigabyte SSD, but my gaming hard drive and my install hard drive are both NVMe now, and I love having that for sure. 1 money or more for each gigabit of storage. Well, Black Friday had it where you could get like a Samsung 970 Evo for pretty cheap, and I've been looking, from what I can tell, like so I have 2 NVMe's, but I'm using for my install drive, which what I call my install is just like everything I don't really care about. So it's a 2 terabyte NVMe that is from Inland. It's just a cheap NVMe, but it is a QLC, I believe, which means it's not gonna it's gonna have fast transfer rates up to a point. And it's going to have reduced life, but I don't care with that. It's just meant to be faster than what I had, which was a spin drive. The 970 Evo is a MLC drive that has much longer prolonged speeds and a much longer lifetime. You pay a premium for it, but it's only got a 1 terabyte for that, and that's where I install most games that I want fast load times on. Final Fantasy 15, when it was on the PlayStation, would sometimes take like a full minute or two to load certain areas. I have not had a single load time to hit over 10 seconds on it now. Even when I fast travel areas, it is always under 10 seconds or faster, which is just crazy.
I sometimes think for a lot of the console games, they release them and then the hardware can support them, but then they shutter in places, and they just kind of like, what? Oh, that's weird. Odd. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen a lot of complaints about console games that sometimes shutter in certain spots. Not like if it shuttered throughout the whole thing, people would be up in arms. They'd be like watching a certain scene, and things would get a little.
Well, the new consoles though are running AMD's RDNA 2.
Yeah.
Though the new consoles are running some crazy fast stuff, and they're specialized, so they're a lot better. But you're still going to get better performance out of a PC if you build a good PC.
Yeah. PCs only really have the limits of whatever the newest tech is, and they put better and better tech into each generation of console, but it's never going to be the newest tech, because that would make the console too expensive, and then everybody would just buy a PC instead. So.
That's what they're saying. The 3060 Ti is, if you're looking to get into PC gaming, at the cost of a console gaming, the new 3060 Ti card is great for 1440 gaming, and it costs the same as one of the consoles compared to the 3080, which is going to cost like double that. But there's definitely a performance gain for 3080.
Yeah, when I built my PC along with the VR headset that I got, that cost like $3,000, and that was the beginning of this year, and it's already kind of dated, as he's pointing out to me, because the 30 series is out now. My card is an old grandpa card now, but.
But anytime you buy anything, I spent I think $600 or $700 on my 1080 Ti like 3 years ago, but that was the price of it at the time, and it was the best that you could get essentially.
It was the best for a while, actually.
Oh, yeah.
It held the top
for non 4K gaming. It is still really good, but I'm looking for the frame rates, not the resolution now.
Right, gotta play that Undertale at 500 frames per second, or
you don't even notice a difference in that game.
Yes, but that's the whole point. We don't want to play new games. We want to play old games faster. I want to play pixel games. I want to play Cookin' Mama at 1,000 frames, and I will not sleep until it's done. And that, like the whole joke with Crysis. I think that's like the benchmark, apparently.
Well, they redid Crysis to make it the new benchmark again.
Did they?
They made like a what do they call it? The remakes? Not remake, but like updated all the graphics and everything. So then it just runs like crap again on systems. Like, it can't take this from us. It used to be that you'd play that game for the for benchmarking. Now people are just going back to 3D Mark and stuff. But 3D Mark gives you scores, which means you can do comparisons a little easier than games would.
Quite a bit. Quite a bit more useful.
I started to dream about it when I decided to clean my PC. Had those 4 line holes and noticed the NVMe slide. No, they are nice. Like the 2 terabyte inland that I got, it wasn't even on a Black Friday, and I think I got it for like 105 or 110, which is American dollars, and that was pretty good. Comparatively, like my 1 terabyte Samsung cost me, I think, like 300, but that was a lot earlier in the NVMe days.
Like, I only paid 100 for each terabyte online.
That was earlier, and it was. Did you have a Samsung?
I can't remember.
It's because
what brand mine are.
being that Samsung is MLC compared to most others being TLC or QLC, that's where the difference in price is. MLC or SL, well, you're never going to find SLC, but it's going to be more expensive. But it's the higher the 3D like layering and compression, the lower the life of the drive, and you'll get fast speeds to a point, and then it will drop off to spin drive speeds. That's why QLC is not the best if you're doing heavy, large loads of stuff. Samsung one is basically that you'll never hit that speed cap because it can keep up with it in the cache long enough. So
I don't know, I'm just happy that I don't really have to deal with load screens much anymore. My previous computer was almost funny. I used to like turn it on and then come downstairs for like 5 minutes while my computer booted. Those were fun days. Now it's like, it's on.
I had that for a while, even with my SSD, because I had Windows. I had moved everything to an SSD, and in doing the transfer, it like broke the boot portion of Windows, and so Windows could only boot from the CD. So anytime I turned on my computer, I had to have the CD in the drive, and it would boot to the CD or try to boot to the hard drive. Wouldn't work. So go to the CD to use the CD to boot Windows to go back to the hard drive. So even though I had an SSD, it would take 4 to 5 minutes to boot. And every time you started it up, you'd hear for this disk. Now, that was when I was running Windows 7. Now, when I changed to 10, I did a fresh install.
It's fine.
It runs perfectly fine. Now it boots in seconds. and it's not. I don't have the. It's not even using an NVMe for boot. I want to do an upgrade to get to PCI 4 so I can get like an 860 Evo and running at like 9 gigs a second, and then or 9 gigabits? No, but I want to switch to that and put the operating system on that and see that thing go super quick.
I still remember transfer going from 7 to 10. I felt like kicked and screamed on that one a little bit. Because there was clearly a huge improvement from Windows XP to Windows 7. And there's arguably even an improvement from XP to Vista, though Vista had a lot of like...
Well, performance-wise, you're probably losing performance between the two. Gaining some features for gaming, but that might not run or be supported on XP, but you're also... All the arrow crap and everything was so unoptimized.
It was more the thing from going from 32 to 64 was the big jump. Like, there was a 64X version of Windows XP, but it didn't run very well. It was kind of haphazardly thrown together. So that was the big improvement between, like, XP and 7, after they got all the crap that was in Vista out.
Well, it was Vista was a step in the right direction, but it was not where it needed to be. But it helped make 7 great. But then 8 was them trying to take the same type of step and misstepping a lot, and then making 10, which isn't as good as the leap to 7 was, but it was definitely better than 8 was.
Yeah, well, 8 was like. 8 was designed for tablets, and they insisted on putting it on PCs. That was the big thing about issue with 8. It was designed for a tablet, not a PC. And they realized that with 10, let's just go back, make an operating system for a PC if it's going to go on a PC.
And I don't know what you're talking about in regards to the SFM animator get together. There's a lot of people in the community thing. And I kind of actually stay out of the community a bit. I kind of just do my own thing.
It can be a show sometimes.
I really want to like have blinks and stuff with her, but I can't. That's one of the problems with the Rathian models is they have no eye control. So I can't do blinking. I can move the eyes, but I can't change any facial stuff other than some mouth stuff.
What you need is just like a Pac-Man model, and you can just like texture it into eyelids.
And I could. From this distance, yeah, I could definitely do that. Well, that's what I did for Toby.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, like 2 halves of a coconut or something.
Toby's was a little different. I wish that I could find like true spheres to use. Toby's aren't true spheres, but they were the best, or not spheres, semi-sphere. It has to be a hemisphere. It has to be a half of one, and I couldn't find that for him. That's why I ended up using something else.
Pac-Man model.
No, because normally a Pac-Man's also going to have a top limit. And so unless I can stretch it back the other direction, it might not be wide enough.
You're going to have to, like, stretch Pac-Man's jaw until it snaps.
That, and it technically would then be clipping into the eye for the texture, where right now I'm floating over it, which is kind of what an eye is anyway. But hello, Shadow Pepper.
Yeah, there isn't really a whole lot of separation between the eyeball and the eyelid, is there?
Oh, thanks for the follow. You get bark. I'm probably going to keep her pretty simple. I don't know what details the backgrounds are going to have for this. Oh, I probably should get the tail up here too. But can I not move the tail? Oh, I'm not. There we go. What would be the rigging for Pac-Man's ghost?
Like the ghost that followed Pac-Man, or the the ghost of Pac-Man?
Ooh, spooky.
that is the goal of the ghosts and the ghost in that game.
What
Like,
is-
join
oh, that
us,
is not-
Pac-Man. It's fine in the other side.
Wait, is Pac-Man a cult?
I don't know. Well, the ghosts, they want to kill Pac-Man so that he also becomes a ghost.
Is it?
I think. I don't know.
I think you're just
the
making
lore of
things up.
Pac-Man. Why else would they try to kill him? Oh, what's that new game where like the ghosts try to kill you, like in the house? Like
It's P something.
yeah, it's like Phantomonium or something.
Yeah, something like that.
That's just a Pac-Man remake. That's all that game is a Pac-Man remake. Everyone knows now, like the ghosts are all around, they're trying to kill you, and you have to go through like the little maze house and find all the items.
I've never seen that game played, so I have no idea.
I've seen it like once, so I'm basing this completely off of this one time I watched a live stream of it. And
So you've now determined the true nature of a game that you've watched played once.
it's Pac-Man.
It's Pac-Man.
It's Pac-Man.
Okay, you know what? After the stream, I'll make sure that you have taken your meds.
Spread the word, everyone. They're all just playing Pac-Man on those Twitch streams.
Can you turn just the eyes color grayish pink for a second from a distance? I wouldn't be able to animate that. And the problem with it is, I could do that. It would be an instantaneous thing. And I usually like having a couple frames to at least show that. And that could work. You could texture it as such, which would be very similar to the method that they were actually using for the characters in the game, which was just a model that they put over the eye. I don't think that they exist on these ones, though. No, they don't. These ones. So I always wondered what clamped means for these, and it's because the base model for these has too many vertices, and SFM software can't handle it on a single body group. So the exporting software will break off pieces into other pieces so that it can be all on one model, but through different body groups. And so that's what the clamps are. I ran into the issue when I was working on the Rathalos model, because if I wanted to rig it correctly and do all the naming of the rigs, I had to import all the different pieces correctly and get them all tied in correctly. And it was actually a very difficult process for somebody that has no idea what they're doing. Maybe making a small colored square, making it go up and down. Again, it's from a distance. It would work. Rathalos was different because for him, I have camera up close to his face a lot, so you definitely would see the difference. For these, I can probably cheat it. I could almost... No, it probably wouldn't work. I was thinking I could use Rathalos Eye if I play with its head sizing and positioning, and I could get it close enough to actually overlap just the eye portion. Maybe, but it'd be messy and difficult. I don't think it'd be worth it. But I'm not too worried about that right now.
Let's go, girl.
So what does it look like from here?
Let's pull all the Pac-Man models for Source Filmmaker and give him arms and legs. Pac-Man doesn't have arms and legs.
Did you ever play Super Smash Brothers?
Yes, but I don't think anybody uses Pac-Man that I've ever seen. I don't think I've
He's
ever
a character.
seen Pac-Man in the game. He's in there.
I've played him before because I like hitting random. But
Let's go, girl.
He shouldn't have arms and legs. It's blasphemy.
What are you talking about? It's not like you're a freaking Pac-Man fanboy.
Yeah, you've learned this today. I am a hardcore Pac-Man purist.
Purist?
Yes, Pac-Man purist. Rolls right off the tongue. It's like, just hold up a sign no arms, no legs, all pack.
All pack.
All pack.
You know what Pac-Man has? 8-pack.
There's 8-pack.
He's got all the pack.
He's got 1 packs.
got 20 packs.
Yeah.
Why is it plural?
He's just straight up like abs starting
Straight up abs?
Yeah, starting just below the mouth and it rolls up to the back of his head.
Or is he a single ab? His whole body is just an ab.
One ab. He has a single pack.
Put 8 of them together.
That is why he's Pac-Man. He's a single pack.
I support the pack.
Yes. He's just a giant ab with a mouth.
Let's go, girl. Let's go, girl.
Fights ghosts and he doesn't afraid of anything.
What is his skeleton like? Can you describe the Pac-Man skeleton?
You know, I've seen a picture and it's horrifying with Pac-Man skeleton. It's just this like horrible like skull that just like has massive teeth and a massive mouth. It's quite terrifying.
Have you seen the one where Kirby takes off his shoes and it's human feet?
Yes, they do the same thing with Sonic. It's just like, oh no.
Kirby's is disturbing because
that was the smartest thing they did in the Sonic movie, was when they had him change into the new shoes. They did not show his feet.
Because it'd be weird.
It would be very weird, because he would have very weird feet.
Also, it's one less thing to model.
I mean, you look at Sonic's feet, and then you're just done.
What, are they cursed?
The image is cursed.
You know, you're making it sound like Sonic's feet are like the Ring. Like as soon as you see the video.
7 days.
Thanks for the follow, Autopool.
Oh yeah, here it's like a model you can buy.
What does that remind? That reminds me of something else. But why does he have all molars? Molars are for chewing vegetables. He's killing people. He should have canine teeth.
He doesn't kill anyone.
He eats ghosts.
They're already dead.
But then, no, because after he bites into them, then they go running away like a ghost. So before then, they are attempting to transition from the ethereal plane to ours, and then he goes and rips the soul from their
Do
body.
you think that's why like they're trying to kill him, is because he's trying to destroy their souls? Or maybe he's the murderer in the first place.
He's the original soul eater.
He is.
He hungers for the for the souls of innocent. See, all those people were like murdered, and then he's in the afterlife, and they're just trying to escape back to the real world to like live their life, and then he goes and like he is death incarnate.
He's like
That's where we go.
The Pac-Man Square is like hell, and he's there like torturing souls.
Our dumpster has arrived.
That's the lore of Pac-Man now.
Dumpster has arrived.
That's official, everyone. Pac-Man is he is a demon. It's true. I like this. This is a good story.
No, it's not. But
I mean, it's full of candy.
what?
Like, that's what he's eating. Is like candy, right? Like little pills.
I should do that better for us. Maybe.
I mean, hell's full of candy. Who would have guessed?
Sounds delicious. What? The cherries? The cherries are as big as he is.
Yes.
And the bananas. I don't know what the other fruits are.
Strawberries. I remember strawberries.
First he eats all the phantom food, and then he eats the souls who were just asking their food back. Yeah. See, he's evil.
Pac-Man's evil, yeah. I think this is fairly well established at this point. Well, that's the first game that was ever made where you play the bad guy.
I don't think it was the first game.
Where you play the bad guy?
We said game.
Well, bad guy game.
No.
I know it wasn't the first game.
Video game, maybe, but games have existed for hundreds of years.
I'm saying it's the first video game where you play as the bad guy.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you know? What if the original like theory for Pong is that like It is the power struggle between good and evil. If you're playing right paddle.
You're evil. Anyone who ever played right paddle is a bad person.
Yeah, you were trying to destroy the world. How dare you? How dare you?
Oh, shaking my head at you.
No, you're not.
And now.
It's like the equivalent of saying lol.
I was shaking my head when your head was turned that way, and then I stopped. That's how head shakes work. They don't last forever.
If somebody says Raffle, they better get on my fucking ground. Because if you're gonna say it, you better be playing it.
You gotta commit.
Yeah. And if you see Rafflecopter, then you can throw yourself in a blender.
Oh.
Oh, it's actually still not low enough.
Our dumpster has arrived.
I'll have to play with this head position because it's not quite looking back at her correctly now, but that is fine. I needed to reposition them a little bit, and even then, I feel like she's still too far to the side, but I can probably adjust her head position. I might put her head up like higher or something because I don't want to have these two like looking identical. We're analyzing simple games. Yes, it is. Well, you got to think about like what was the motivation? What was Pac-Man's motivation? Like I can't play Pac-Man unless I know what his internal struggles in life were. I need to know like where was he born? Where did he grow up? What is his favorite food?
He's Hellspawn. That's all you need to know.
I know. Well, I want it from the word of the creator, if they're alive.
Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah, actually, he was in what was that one Adam Sandler movie that had a Pac-Man in there, and the Pac-Man critter is there, and he gets eaten by Pac-Man, I think.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part. I just remember seeing him in like a documentary they did recently on Netflix. The inventor of Space Invaders is still alive too.
I guess in a way it was like 40 years ago,
It was like
and
the 70s.
Yeah, so they could be allowed to be a lot older.
They're just like all in their 80s and 90s. But they're some of them are
When they're
alive.
just anything about like back then, they're like, we spent weeks and months developing these games. Now like freaking 8-year-old in the computer's like, I'm a Pac-Man.
They're just like I think the guy in the documentary talking about Space Invaders, he's like, yeah, coding's done a lot differently now.
Well, now we have full game engines that are optimized for the sole purpose of making games, but back then there was no such thing.
They're binary.
Yeah, they're probably working with machine code like fully, and that is yeah, Pixels. That was the movie. I heard it. I never watched it. I heard it was
I saw it.
I heard it was a pretty bad movie, but the part with the Pac-Man guy was pretty neat. They failing to film one scene. In that, I know like the vast majority of it was CGI, but
the story parts of it didn't make sense. Like even in the world they had built, like it was a bad movie, and it fell back on a lot of tropes, like about video gamers that were negative and like so that like nobody could figure out who the movie was made for. That is for sure.
Well, that's the one thing with like one of the when you try to make a movie for an audience, you usually are like, are we making it for? You have to make it for people that both know the what they're watching, so they can enjoy it, and people that have never seen it before, and so that you still get people to go see it that don't know about the other stuff. And like that's one thing with Monster Hunter movies, or just any of those movies in general, why they do the portal to another world. Because if you have somebody that goes into the world that doesn't understand the world, then they are playing as the person that is going into the movie that has no understanding of the world, and then the movie has to explain it to them. So it's a narrative way to explain the story. That makes sense. But like one of the reasons that I thought Sonic was actually appreciated is that there was none of that. They didn't need to explain shit. They explained Sonic at the beginning, but it was like more of he was a Sonic and he was raised by owls and then he ran away and now he's here. Like it was super, super quick. Yeah. And all the rest of it for the development of the story for all the characters was told as the story progressed and only when needed. And even then it wasn't much. And so I really liked that because it was for the gamers without catering so much to the other side to where it felt like you were being left out or that you're just having everything re-explained to you again. So I appreciated that. That's why the Monster Hunter movie worries me a little bit because I have a feeling that it's going to be a lot of explaining of stuff and I don't care. I mean, just go beat up some monsters. That's all I care about.
It does kind of feel like the kind of movie I'd probably wait to watch on like DVD or whatever.
Tornado Skywind wants you to do a voice impression of Smaug from The Hobbit.
Is that the dragon?
Yeah. Who was that voiced by? That was because
I haven't seen I saw The Hobbit once, and it was like
that was by Cumberbatch, wasn't it? That did the voice of Smaug.
Is it the guy who played Doctor Strange?
I think so. I can't remember. I think that's who it is. So you got to be like a British dragon. Yeah, it is Cumberbatch.
Like, oh, I'm a dragon. Hi, I'm Smaug. I'm British.
No, that's Scottish or something.
It's like I'm Smaug the dragon. Everyone, it's great to be here in your hobbit holes and your dwarven chambers and whatnot. Grr, British grr.
You know what? Actually, you're sounding like Paul McCartney.
British, right?
Yeah, but it was the way like you're speaking like you're the Beatles. Like, what the hell is that?
I'm Beatles the dragon.
I'm a dragon. Hey, yes, I'm a dragon. Let her be.
That's what Smaug sounded like, right? I hit that. Yes, thank you. Best did it.
It was like in a
British roar. Yes.
You know you sounded like the rock guy from Endgame. Like, hey Thor, man, how you doing, man? Oh wow, that's pretty cool over there. Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
It's just that's what it sounded. I forgot what his name was. Actually, if you remove the British part of that voice, that would be pretty close to what he was doing. British roar. What is that? Is it screaming over the sound of God Save the Queen? I know it didn't sound like Smaug, but that's fine because every voice, the only voice that Michael has done, I think, like correctly there's been two of them, and one was Nixon, and all it was because he went blah, 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 blah. And the second one was Kirby, and that was because he went to get a vacuum cleaner. So it wasn't even his voice.
It's Smaug was explained to me, and I did my very best.
Okay. So I think on here. Oh, yeah, I was gonna move them up here. I wanted to get them on land. So this is. Actually, this is the house that normally is broken. Oh, I have the lights off, so it's running fine right now. If I turn these on, yeah, that's where the frame rate goes to crap. And I look at the house. Look at it. Well, you're probably not going to see it, but right now you can see it's like running at. I'm doing this like 30 frames a second. If I look at the house, it drops to 20s. Something in that house is just broken.
Well, if you go right up to the house, you can probably figure out what it is.
But I can't do anything about it.
Probably not. No.
I had.
You put like a piece of cardboard over the light or whatever.
No, the light is interacting with some kind of an object that's probably not dealing with shadows. So even if I put something in front of it, it's just going to ignore it and cast it on whatever. But like the EQG's high school, there was one of them there that if I had a light shined at a specific object in the high school, it just crashed the program completely. And it was, so I made lighting that immensely hard because I could like aim it a little bit and I move it a little bit. But if I turned it any more to the left, it would crash. It was so bad.
I just want to sing like Smaug the Magic Dragon. Not Smaug, Smug.
Smug. I'm Smug. I'm a Smug. I'm a dragon.
I'm a dragon.
I'm gonna go play some Fortnite.
I'm a fly so high.
I might hold off on moving these guys because I have 3 different shots now that have the positioning change, and it would actually take me a while to readjust the positions to figure them all out. And that's the best anyone's got to his voice. I can't even remember it. I don't think I've seen the 3rd Hobbit movie. I've seen the 2nd. So I've seen Smaug. Was the 2nd one Desolate as Smaug?
I can't remember.
I don't know. I don't. I saw any of those the films. Only reason I cared about those movies was the what's the name of the main actor that did Hobbit? Oh, that played the main character.
I got his face in my head.
I love, as an actor, I love him. So I love him for that character. That, and there's the meme that came out of it where, when they're at the door, the dwarf thing, and they have like his head thing. There's a version where like he just keeps like going back and forth like in silence repeatedly, and they keep looking through, and he just keeps like doing the head thing, and it is so funny.
Yeah, the only thing I remember about any of the Hobbit movies is that in the 3rd one, I think. No, it wasn't the 3rd one. It was one of them that Stephen Colbert was in for like 3 seconds. That's about all I remember.
Hobbit movies?
One of the Hobbit movies, yeah. He got a...
Oh, yeah, because he's like an addiction. He loves the...
And he got a role. Like, he appears on camera for like 3 seconds.
Well, because he's not a fan of what I would call Lord of the Rings movies. He was just a love of the books, and so the movies became a good thing for him. And so yeah, there has been some of his shows where they did an interview, like they asked him some stupid specific question, he'll be able to answer it because it's super cool.
Yeah, he said he just kept rereading his books. They got him through his...
Benedict was originally going to play the role of Chewbacca in the new Star Wars films, but why? Like, I'm guessing the person that does the voice of Chewbacca probably doesn't even play as Chewbacca.
I don't.
Well, actually,
computer generated.
No, one of the things that Star Wars actually did a lot of was they hid big name actors in parts that you couldn't see their face. Like, who's the guy that plays Bond?
James Bond?
Yeah.
Like currently?
Yeah.
I don't know the current
one. Well, Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
He actually played a stormtrooper.
Really?
Yeah. You never see it because his face was covered, but he was actually in the movies. So there was other celebrity parts that they hid big name actors in the movie that actually didn't have a visible role, or the part that you did see was so covered in makeup that you would not even know it was them. So I think that was super cool of just hiding them in there. Yeah, it was.
Speaking of Star Wars, the guy who originally played Darth Vader, the guy in the actual suit, not the voice. He passed away recently, a few days ago, I think.
I suppose by a certain rumor had been. Oh wait, maybe it was at. He didn't. Oh no, he said at the time that he denied it, but then. But he ended up actually being in there. But it was more than just him. There was other people, I guess, that played parts. So I think that's kind of cool.
I don't think there's been a Star Wars movie, and I might be wrong about this, that there's one actor who's been in every one. And I think, and I could be wrong, I know he was in all of the original. Or no, he might have only been in the 3rd movie in the original.
Like, there was one man who was in every one of them. They're like, who? And they're like, Bob in lighting.
Well, the one I'm thinking about that I think he was in some role or another throughout all the films was Warwick Davis. And, you know who that is, right? Warwick Davis?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know he was the main Ewok in episode 6. And I think he had bit parts in the previous films, like just doing some of the puppetry stuff. And then I think they just had him in cameos here or there. Could be wrong. I might be full of shit.
We'll just have the Michael stream now.
Hello!
Actually,
I do like this camera. It's very flattering.
It's also brighter. Like, if it goes to me and then it focuses on me, come on. And then it just is like, oh, screw him, and takes all the lighting
I
out.
just gotta move quickly and it focuses back on me. I figured out the trick. You just gotta like move quickly, and then it'll focus on you. No. See, that's cheating.
Actually, you know what? I probably should.
Like whoosh. Oh, that's
Hold on.
me again.
I need to. Come on. Hello, camera. There we go.
What are you doing? Are you doing automatic? Or are you taking
No,
it manual?
I'm turning down the depth of field so it's not so. Oh, that's really dark now.
Yeah, no, I can't. No, I'm disappearing.
Otherwise, you're more blurred than you need to be. Buy 2 cameras. So there was the idea of in the future when COVID stuff is passed, we'd play a lot of board games, and it would be really cool to have the ability to do like an actual
Well, that's what
board game type thing. But the main issue is you would have more than one camera, but also the logistics of controlling your AV, like what video is played when. And like you can have a camera on the board, but then say you have 2 people on either side, so you'd have 1 camera on the board, then 2 cameras, 1 for each side. But then when do you switch to what? And
that's tabletop simulator.
that's why Tabletop Simulator is better for that. But Tabletop Simulator, it's not. There's something about a physical game that is fun.
I can draw, but if we do play a physical game, I can still draw a derpy on the table, right?
I can't stop you.
Like, and if I like.
Well, no.
Table,
If you want to buy a new table, I mean that table was free, but
I'll get you another free table. It won't be as good. It'll probably be made of
yes,
plywood.
your idea. The table was free because my old roommate was moving in with his parents and didn't want it anymore. So it's like a $1,200 table. It's actually really, really nice. Your idea of a free table is I found this board on the sidewalk, and if you put it on your knees, it technically is a table.
This is true. We will get you this board.
And it'd probably be plywood. It would be.
It would absolutely be plywood.
It'd be like, well, this is 4 different reshaped versions of wood, and I nailed it together. Well, nails are probably too expensive for you.
Look, we'll go to the junkyard. We'll see what we can find. This is where we get our.
There is one. It's called your room. You have a board in there.
I nailed those boards onto that to a thing. I needed a bigger TV stand, so I nailed boards to a TV stand.
We brought up last time that the next AV type purchase I want to make is a mic for him. So,
I'm already a mic.
But it's the first of the month, so I was able to double check all my finances, and I'm still not zeroed out for the year. I should be maybe before the end of the year. I could, but I'm still like $140 in the hole from all the other stuff. So, and that a lot of that is because like Adobe is still a cost every month and whatever. So,
call your coffee purchases business expenses.
No, because then that would put me even further in the hole. I'm talking because I separate anything made from YouTube, Twitch, Patreon, and my own finances, and I overspent from that account, so I ate my own money. So if I added that as a business expense, I would be taking more from that. I'd be further in the negative from there.
Start doing car washes.
No.
In the winter.
Yeah, you need a director controlling a Stream Deck via OBS. Well, yeah, and actually that's what a lot of places do. Like if you're doing a big stream production like that, you probably do have somebody running a stream on the side, that would be neat. But anybody I know that would be over for something like that, you would probably be gaming. And so to tell them like, you barely get to watch. You have to like hit these buttons now. And I wouldn't want to do that to somebody. And it would have to be consistent enough to where I could pay them to do that, that kind of thing. So, but that's more in the future. I've talked a lot about wanting to do more game and streams and stuff, but I haven't started doing any of it because I brought up last time I don't like moving forward with anything unless I feel like I have a plan for doing it. I don't want to say, I'm going to start streaming on Saturdays, and then I do it for like 2 weekends, and then something happens and it breaks off and I can't. I want to keep it consistent. That's why the Tuesday and Friday schedule has worked out well, because I can do it consistently. But if I want to add something like that in, I want to feel like it is something that I can commit to. And until I feel like I can commit to something, I don't want to add anything in. And games are hard because I really like playing story-driven games, but that is something that's hard to stream in that feels like you're kind of ruining it for people that might want to purchase it. And a lot of the other ones feel like they're just like farming and one-offs. So I haven't really come up with a good one. Plague Innocence Tale, we were playing on Discord.
We were going to do 76, right?
Yeah, but that's probably going to be another month before we get into that.
Yeah, that's pretty close soon.
Yeah, well, that'll be past the beginning of the year because there's just too much stuff going on this month to make it consistent. Because again, for that, it would be where we would be doing a consistent playthrough of like every Saturday or something.
Just wish I could mod it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, most times it's better to start new ideas when you're prepared. Well, it's more of people like consistency, and I don't want to jump into something. It's the same thing. Like I want to do a lot of reforms for the way Patreon is done. I want to do, I want to bring on some more help for some other stuff, but I don't want to commit to anything until I feel like it is something I can commit to. And I haven't felt myself reliable enough in the last couple months. So I've been holding off on making any of those changes because I don't want to like say, because Patreon, the big change I want to make is I want to change it from a per video to monthly. And by doing that, I need to add value to it. And I already have like a document I've started on how to do that. But I want to feel like it has enough value to do that. Because if I'm not, say I don't put out a video, like a full animation in a month, then for people that are there for the per video bit, are they feeling like they're overpaying or something? So I want to feel like I'm putting something out there and something that's Patreon specific. And I'm trying to figure out a good way to put names in credits for at the end of highlights and stuff. I don't do it right now for highlights because the highlights aren't a per video bit. So somebody could jump onto Patreon, get their name and a bunch of stuff, and then leave before anything actually went through an animation. So that's where I need to plan a lot of that out beforehand, and I overthink everything. So whatever. That was a lot of words, I guess. So anyways, stream's done for today though. And I'll go back to trying to think about some of that stuff on what I want to do.
You play a game and you turn the video on,
and I feel like I would do a lot better with video game streaming if it was impromptu. If I could just say, I'm going to stream a game, and I would hit start stream. I don't know if I want to. It feels like I'm devaluing Twitch in a way to where
it's like 85% of Twitch is just people hitting the stream button and saying, yeah, we're playing this game.
If you can like say I go and do something that was really, really fun and somebody wishes they could have been a part of it, but because it was impromptu and they didn't know it was going to start and they didn't have a choice. So by doing impromptu, you're removing choice. And I know some people like schedule.
Well, that's why people just record when they stream and then they put it on like a channel.
Some people like being a part of stuff. So I've thought about doing stuff like that, but I just haven't gotten around to it. And again, if I start a narrative game, like a story-based game, but like say I started playing Final Fantasy 15 on a stream, I can't then play it not on stream because it's a story-based. It's like got a narrative that's being followed. And if I suddenly play on stuff on the side, people are missing that narrative. So yeah.
That's why you upload it.
But not if I'm not streaming it. Then I'd be recording it on my own. So yeah.
You can upload your streams.
No, I'm talking if I was playing it non-stream. So you were playing a narrative game and then like I played 3 hours in the morning and didn't stream it.
Well, don't do that.
But now I feel like I only can play it on stream. And if somebody's really wanting to follow it and I'm just doing impromptu streams and they weren't there to catch the narrative. Yeah, that's a great way to maintain an audience is ignore them.
Well, they can watch the upload.
But what if I played it when it wasn't on stream?
You're overthinking.
So that's why it's tough. So yeah. Anyways, whatever. I'm done. We're gonna do Kitty.
Meow meow.
Not only Kitty.
Sir Derby's?
No. Oh. Michael's song.
It
still plays. It's not phenomenon. It's whatever. I don't even remember what it sounds like. Everybody else is hearing it. It's actually brainwashing them into coming back for more stream.
Da da dee da 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 doot. Da da diddly diddly doo doo doot. Diddly diddly do da boo. Doot da da
All right.
doot. Da
I'll
da
see you guys
dee
later.
da da
Bye-bye.
doot. Da da diddly diddly doo doo doot. Diddly diddly do da boo.